Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Ryan Hill with you in the booth. We are SimRace South Africa, and we have the final round of the 2024.2 age simGT3 season tonight. We are back on Watkins Glen. Technically, this is a redo of round one, where we had the incorrect bot loaded. So this is the one that actually counts, and round 5 of 5, if you will, and the finale of the season, before we head into a whole new season in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, for those of you who can see in the background pictures, the aerial footage, drone footage, some nice pictures there of Watkins Glen. It's quite a popular track, Formula F1 track in fact, but it's used today for a bunch of different things. NASCAR is very popular here. The IMSA Sports Car Championship, of course, they also hold the 6 hours of Watkins Glen Enduro, which is always an amazing one to watch. And a few famous corners on here. And you can see also just a very distinctive netting that's around as well, in particular because of the NASCAR. And you'll find that we're on the long circuit today, which includes the boot. As you can see in the bottom right there, turn 7 through the toe into the boot, and then the heel turn 8. Turn 9, quite a sharpish one. Turn 10, a lot of 90-degree corners on this track, which will test drivers, no doubt. Otherwise, a few fast sections as well. The pits final main straight is a relatively short one, with the back straight being the main one, which has a little bit of a kink at the end there. You can see the inner loop followed by the outer loop. So weather forecast for today, it is a night race. We are scheduling it to be run at 8 o'clock on a Sunday, but it is nice and dry, cool, clear conditions, not a hint of rain out there, and just 5% cloud, which would obviously keep it nice and cool, generally speaking. The average ambient temperature is 30 degrees, but that's across the weekend. Because it's a night race, I'm expecting that temperature to be quite low, or lower, should we say, not quite low, but we'll see what it gets to in a little bit once we hop to qualifying. Because this is the final race of the season, here's how the championship standing table is falling right now. Ross Bartle is topping the charts in his Ford Mustang for Black Owl Sim Sports Racing, followed by Mike LaRue in his Ford Mustang GT3, taking the fight to Ross Bartle. They're separated by just 5 points in it. Mark van Rensburg also out there in his Lamborghini. Keep an eye out for him, a firm favorite for a strong podium tonight as well, on 59 points in the overall standings. And a couple of other guys nipping at the heels: Hans van Beek, Hardus Boyser, Jason Luck, Kirkham, all guys that can take some valuable points off the top 5 here, and certainly start challenging for the overall win in the season, in particular because there's a drop round to speak of, where the best 4 out of 5 races will be taken at the end of the day. Looking at HLQ times, which is really just fastest laps that have been recorded on SimRacing GP by the drivers in this current division. So just looking at the top 10 here, just to narrow them down, we're looking at a 1:43.62 best by Ross Bartle, but that was considerable time ago. Hannes van Beek took the fastest lap for 1:44.10 earlier this season, in fact, in that aborted round 1 in his Mustang. That might get nipped in the bud slightly, because I do believe the Ford Mustang has a little bit of ballast thrown into it in this particular track variant. But how about, with no further ado, to take you around a tour of the Hot Lap Guide from the cockpit view, and enjoy this Hot Lap provided to you by folks over at Coach Dave Academy. Enjoy. Giving it absolutely everything there on the Coach Dave lap. We cut now to live pictures for qualifying. It's a 15-minute qualifying session. You can see we in the top middle of your screen we have about 8.5 minutes left. That was just Ross Bartle for Blackout Sim Sports. You can see the couple of cars lined up there in that level. He's taken provisional pole right now with a 144.8. So not too far off the previous best we've seen from those times shown earlier this evening. Hardest Boyce, of course, having the fastest in the current season so far in that original round one. And he is 0.78 off that pace right now. So if he's got a little bit of work to do if he wants to catch up. Here he is on track right now out in his BMW. But there's just under 8 minutes to go. He's coming around the boot now. He has lots of time left to take the challenge forward. Having a look out there, Mike LaRue also in the top 3 here so far, pedaling his Ford Mustang around for the Viper team. Venom Motorsports, that is. Mark van Rensburg, as mentioned earlier, in his firm favourite Lambo. Currently also just 0.85 below Ross Bartle's best right now, and followed closely on track there by Mr. Hatting. So Rainier up there also in the Black Sim Sports racing in another Ford Mustang. It's been quite a few Mustangs out there in the season. Popular car choice this time out. I do hear from a lot of the drivers that they haven't really enjoyed driving it, so I imagine there's going to be quite a few car changes next season starting in just a couple of weeks time. So it'll be quite interesting to see what the favored cars are going to be, if guys are going to switch things up. But there we have a couple of other one-make manufacturers out on tracks. Jason Luck is in his firm favorite Porsche. We've seen him drift his way around in this Porsche quite often, very successfully in the past. And I'm sure he's on point for a strong finish to his season tonight. We've got a pair of McLarens out there right now. Dennis Gillett in the papaya orange and blue livery next to James Stroud in the green. Engine Governor in the other BMW out there tonight. Currently sitting in a provisional P10. And then we have a lone Ferrari on track, Timothy Gomez. Nice livery that, the red and yellow. That's sort of the taking to the LMP liveries. Highly successful car as well for Ferrari. After quali, we'll have a short break just to give drivers the opportunity to adjust their setups, make any last minute adjustments to their fuel loads, tire strategies, pit stop strategies. Of course, we have a 75-minute bit of a sprint race, but there is one compulsory pit stop in the race later on. We don't mandate that drivers switch tires. That's completely optional, up to them, but they do have to fill up with minimum 1 liter of fuel, and the pit window covers the entire session of the race itself. So many different strategies we've seen across the season rather. Some opting for some undercuts, some overcuts, some taking some very late splash and dashes, others cutting it down the middle. Of course, depending on the weather, those strategy calls will be adjusted. We've seen some rain. Oh, hitting the wall there is Mike LaRue. And, I have a sneaking suspicion that hitting the wall in that particular place invalidates your lap, depending on how far forward your car was coming out of that final corner. I know when I've done some laps myself, hitting that wall can invalidate. Hopefully not too much damage there. It looks like he's staying out there for now with just 4 minutes left in quali. So probably opting to not reset to pits if the damage was minimal. You waste quite a bit of time going out there on another outlap and waste precious time to put in those flying laps. It does look strong across those curbs right now as we speak, however. And that delta to Ross Bartle, if you look at the top left, it is it is an equal match, as far equal as can be, 0.000. So I'm guessing that Ross Bartle takes it purely because he got in there first. Off running quite wide there, a little bit off track. Mike LaRue certainly pushing as hard as he can go. I'm wondering if I can flick over to the basic HUD, we might be able to see his delta. And in fact, it's showing up as red in the top left. So for the time being, this is an invalid lap, and he'll have to most likely invalidate it. We saw earlier, but he will need to get a good exit out of the final corner. I'm just looking at the traffic ahead of him as well. It looks like P12 of Timothy Gomez, who's rounding the final corner now ahead of him. But it is enough space, I think, that he doesn't need to hold back or anything right now as he flies through the final corner, tries to get a good run off onto the main straight. I'm going to quickly flick over to the basic HUD instead of broadcasting, just so we can see pedal inputs in the bottom right, and we can also see how he's getting on with his delta in the top left. It's off to a great start here with 0.13 in the green, and essentially any amount of time that he is able to improve up on his delta is going to pip Ross Bartle off provisional pole. Of course, if we flick over to Ross Bartle right now, he's also just started his next flying lap and is already also into the green in terms of delta right now. So between these two drivers, it's anyone's going to take it. We'll have an eye on Mark van Rensburg as well. He looks like he's out there on an out lap, as a delta is not yet reflecting. Hardest voice I can see in the pit lane. So we'll flick back now to Mark LaRue. There's a healthy 0.18 delta advantage right now on his previous best. And he's rounded the boot now, and he's heading down to the heel. He's still not being impeded in any way, shape or form by Timothy Gomez's Ferrari. There you could just actually, that's one of the Blackout Sim Sports actually now in P12. It is actually sure who's sitting there right now. Might be car number 12, not position number 12, which would make it Roxanne Bartle off in the distance there. But Mike LaRue rounding the final corner now. He has a healthy 0.2. Oh, it's dropped a little, 0.1. That's not the best final corner. He's bled off all the speed, so only improved by 0.05. But it is, of course, enough to take that provisional pole back. We flick over to Ross Bartle, who has a much healthier 0.35 advantage up on his best, as he is heading down to the final corner now. We did see Mike LaRue bleed off all that time in the final corner. Can Ross Bartle do something different and hang on to it? Yes, he can. Look at that, rock solid. So he's going to take that position back from Mike LaRue with just 30 seconds left, and that is a substantial overlap. 0.275 Mike LaRue will need to beat. And I'm afraid where he is right now, approaching almost third and final sector. He's only sort of on his bubble, grey delta, slipping into the reds now, so I fear he's not going to improve any further. Mark van Rensburg is still not posting a improved lap time. In fact, it looks like he has validated his lap, so he's not going to be improving any time then either. Hardest voice is sitting in the pits, so is Dennis Gillett, Jason Luck, Roxanne Bartle, Anthony Moritz. Next one down is up 0.08 on his delta, which will be enough to jump one position up from Roxanne Bartle if he manages to hang on to this lead. Lovely custom livery there. We can see Oxford Racing with a nice green custom little saffron flag on the roof as well. Very nicely done, almost like a zebra stripe on the bonnet there. And very nice. He's improved his delta even further now to 0.36 and improving as he heads into the boot section of the track. And just in front of him he has that looks like car number 6 of Mark van Rensburg. So it's really only Anthony Moritz out here with anything to gain. And it does look like he's going to jump up at least one position. As we'll flick back over to the broadcasting view. rounding the final corner now. And to do a crumb across the line. He's currently in P8. I'm expecting at least a P7, possibly a P6. And he actually jumps up into P5. So a cracker of a lap there for Anthony Moritz at the death. And that is a strong showing indeed. But provisional, well, not provisional, pole position now goes to Ross Bartle. Mike LaRue lining up alongside him on the grid. Mark van Rensburg takes second row alongside Hardus Boyser. We have just under 2 minutes before the rolling start procedure. So we're going to run a quick ad break, and we'll be back with you in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. We are back live. Drivers are on the formation lap. You can see from the track map in the sort of top right hand corner of your screen, just underneath the sponsor logos and supporter scroller ticker. They are heading around the track right now. They're just past the outer loop, heading into the chute. It's around turn 5, heading down to T6. That's sort of the left hand bend before they start heading into the boots. Of course, just enjoying the pictures there from the Renault Clio Cup Championship, which we've just ended just last week, that is, and where we crowned some new champions. The Clio Cup champion Nick Hodson taking gold, Brett Kirkhamp taking silver, and Ross Bartle taking third place bronze. And, looking to see who's going to take the overall honors in the simGT3 season championship here tonight. Place your bets, sign up and chat if you have any predictions. Otherwise, just a big welcome again to everyone tuning into the live stream and or watching the offline VOD after the race at some point in the future. Thank you very much to everyone for your support this past season, and looking forward to everyone your continued support, that is, for the seasons to come. Next season, of course, we'll keep on having the GT3 Championship Series, but instead of the Clio Cup, we are going to be mixing in either a Volvo S40 British Touring Car Championship or a historic Mini. We put it out a vote on the Discord channel. It does look like the Volvo is leading significantly with the votes when I last checked. I think that vote is due to end sometime tonight, and then we will announce and get going with the scheduling of the rest of the season and the tracks to suit the Volvo, of course. But right now we are at the finale of the season for the GT3 Championship. Drivers are about to round the final corner. They have got into their double stacking formation procedure. They'll be holding their lines. They'll be holding, I think it's 70 k's an hour max. And we are about to see some green lights for the final time in the season.
The pit is now open.
Go, go, go.
Green light,
Here
green
we go.
Go, go, go.
It looks like Mike LaRue has got a decent start, but Ross Bartle is up on the inside of the first corner, and it looks like he's actually already slipped ahead. And Mike LaRue having to... Sorry, he was ahead already. Those guys were swapping so much during qualifying, but he's managed to retain his lead then. But look at the gap there. Mike LaRue is so much close to him. I'm going to go on board here, dashboard right now, onto the back of Ross Bartle. Hunting down this long back straight. We're going to head into the inner loop where Ross has taken the defensive line up the inside, just through that little kink, inner loop, outer loop. And they're going to swing as fast as possible down into chute. It looks like the majority of the field did get away quite cleanly. If I had a look up and down the field, it looks like pretty much everyone has got away without any sort of significant position changes from what I can see. And, for now, in the time being, we'll keep an eye on that leaderboard. Of course, as you can see, a night race here, headlamps blaring. Looking over the rear wing of Mark van Rensburg Lamborghini Huracan. And a little bit of a gap, I'd say. The top three have opened up now to the rest of the field. It's Hardest Voices, BMW looming down. But a little bit of a minor breakaway for the time being for this top three, or top two even. See a little bit separated. Having a quick jump down to Anthony Moritz. He was being hunted down by Jason Luck, but he is also reporting his 0.079 behind Dennis Gillett. It's an ultra-tight field right now. And as we just pan over to a wide-angle lens here at the bottom of the hill, approaching heel, he swings out wide and has a little look on Dennis Gillett, but he's going to need to slip back in behind. Further down as well, Martin Quinnival's out there in his Stang for Black Sim Sports. He has Andrew Govender in his Beamer for company. as they make their way around the final corner. Hopefully no one hitting the wall at this early stage of the race. Timothy Gomez is Ferrari as well, being hunted down by Roxanne Bartle, sister to Ross Bartle, current leader. He's just set the fastest lap as well of the race so far. Early days, 144.510. And Mike Leroux, 144.760. Of course, still on his heels, clattering through the curbs as they go through the inner and outer loop. Definitely a breakaway, some gap, some distance being made here by the top two to Mark van Rensburg. There's about 2.2 seconds behind them. So already pulling an early gap here, just a few minutes into the race. The rest of the pack here sort of from P5 downwards. Anthony Moritz, who had that excellent qualifying right at the death there to jump up from P8 to P5, has retained his P5 off the start and has Jason Luck for company. In fact, very close right now off the rear. Looking over the rear wing there. The Coachman sponsor logo emblazoned over the carbon fiber. The headlights of the Porsche bearing down on him. A bit of a concertina effect under braking, running quite wide there actually. Anthony Moritz, he might need to be a little bit careful so as to not rack up any sort of track cut penalties if the stewards built into the game deem that he has gained any sort of significant advantage. You'll be able to do that 3 times before you get a penalty on the 4th time, which I believe is a drive-through penalty. Mike Leroux now taking fastest lap of the race away from Ross Bartle, 144.367 compared to Ross Bartle's 144.477. Track temperature is sitting at 29 degrees, equaling the ambient temperature out there right now. Optimum grip levels, pretty much not a single cloud in the sky to be seen. Wind is negligible. And a quick jump on Roxanne Bartle here, who is attacking the rear of Timothy Gomez. It looks quite close here, down this sort of bottom end of the boot. Is she going to have a little look? She has a bit of a look and decides to go for it through the corner. Nice racing width there shown by both drivers. Timothy Gomez is going to come back at her though on the inside line. Just about rounding T9 now, heading into T10. And Roxanne Bartle has managed to swing around Timothy Gomez. So great pass there, lots of space offered, and safely banked as she heads around the last corner onto the main straight now. Ross Bartle taking that quickest lap back as these two are just going to keep pushing and pushing forward and increasing that gap to P3 now. It was 2.2 seconds, it's now 3.1 down to Mark van Rensburg in his Lamborghini. Hardest Boyser, meanwhile, is holding steady in P4, maintaining that gap to Mark van Rensburg ahead of him in his orange and black BMW. See the camber of the track there, just heading into the boot, sort of the toe end, T7. Drivers can certainly use that to their advantage. Able to keep a good amount of speed up, a good amount of throttle input. Rounding T9 now. I suppose it is to Mark van Rensburg. The gap is a 1.28. we'll keep that in mind as we go another few laps and see if it's increasing or decreasing. Meanwhile, hopping down to Andrew Govender in the other BMW, hunting down Martin Groenewald in his Ford Mustang. This camera view gives a nice idea of the driver's input, especially the steering wheel, how smooth they are. On that, you don't want to see a driver fighting too much or sawing at the wheel. That's going to be scrubbing the tires and bleeding off a lot of speed. It can often be a good indication of how smooth their inputs are, translating to nice, consistent, fast lap times. That gap now just under a second to Martin Groenewald ahead. As we head down the main back straight, we're going to hit the inner loop. It's also a good indication of any differing driver's lines here and how aggressive they are across the curbs here. A little bit of a lift. Engine cover just to manage the pace and feather the throttle around this corner. You can see the counter steer going into that corner though. And around the outer loop, just heading down to the chute, a significant amount. Just fighting a little bit to keep that Beamer under control. And bleeding off microseconds to Martin Groenewald ahead. Perhaps as a result of that. I see an early pit stop here. James Stroud in the McLaren has pulled up to a halt. I didn't see any indications of an off-track incident with a wall or anything, so this is a very early stop. I'd say definitely unscheduled, unexpected. For James Stroud, hopefully there's nothing gone wrong mechanically with his rig at home. But for the time being, we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on him. You can see in the top left of your screen the little white P letter to the right hand side of his row entry, just indicating that he's in the pits. It looks like he's rolling again, and he has at least cleared his pit stop. So while he was stationary, he put in at least 1 liter of fuel. James Stroud, that is. He gets off now, just peeling off behind Jason Luck. That's obviously not racing for position, so he's put himself into a little bit of traffic here. He is allowed to unlap himself if he is definitely faster and feels like he's able to do so safely, but saying that, I do know that Jason Luck right now is putting in slightly faster lap times than James Stroud, but only slightly. So perhaps on some fresh rubber now, assuming he did change the tires and then sorted out whatever issues he had, James Stroud will be able to get back on it and fight for a recovery drive. Engine Governor in between a Black Owl Sim Sports sandwich here. Martin Groenewald and Roxanne Bartle behind him. In fact, very close is Roxanne Bartle, just putting a little bit of pressure on there. Engine Governor ever so slightly running towards the inside line, defensive there, and quite successfully so for the time being. Ooh, was that some contact with the wall? Roxanne behind? It certainly looked like the car was a little bit of aggressive. Either off the curbs or there was some slight contact with the wall there, just rebounding, or a little bit of a ricochet. Awfully close as well to the wall on that final exit corner there. But Engine Governor for now just putting his car out wide, looking to break the line to Bartle behind perhaps, otherwise having a look at Groenewald in front. Always the car in the middle of a sandwich having the most difficult job to do. Not only do you need to defend against the driver behind you, but you need to figure out a way past the car in front. Right now it certainly looks like he's going to need to do more of the defending side of things, just from how pacey Roxanne Bartle is looking. In fact, she's already pulled out again, going for a dive up the inside. Looks like she has to back out of that one into the inner loop, just coming off the back straight. But the Mustang definitely has some legs down the straight, but so does the BMW. A good amount of top speed there. And Engine Governor's done exceptionally well here to fend off that attack and close up a little bit to Martin Groeneveldt. In fact, he looks like he's on the attack now. So great little battle here for P6 developing almost between these three drivers. And Martin Groeneveldt now having to do the work to defend, but Roxanne Bartel coming again on for the attack. I wonder if being in the same team, Black House Sim Sports, if these drivers are on comms with each other or just paying attention to the leaderboards and the mirrors, they might be able to work as a team to allow an overtake here by Bartel on Govender and then work together to move forward. But that is always easier said than done here. On running very wide, Roxanne Bartel there, and that's going to lose some time, relieve a little bit of the pressure, but only slightly so. Again, Endrin Govender off the main straight, looking to just come off the line slightly. I don't think it's really going to break too much toe here, especially for that minuscule amount of time. Perhaps he's just looking to the sight ahead, essentially, perhaps not unsighted Martin Groeneveldt, but just seeing what his options are in terms of heading into that final corner. But for now, it doesn't look like he's making up too much ground. Martin Groeneveldt, that gap is remaining fairly constant, and the threat of Roxanne Bartel behind is still present. This is over the rear wing of Endrin Govender, looking onto Roxanne Bartel behind, who is trying to defend. Into the boots they go, feathering on some throttle, an early upshift there by Endrin Govender. And off track we have Dennis Gillett. He has pulled safely offline though. That's interesting. And again we see Roxanne Bartel dangerously close to Endrin Govender, but he has closed up this gap to Martin Groeneveldt as well. So the three-way battle continues in earnest. Almost looks like the way Endrin Govender's wheels or rims are painted, that it looks like his brakes are on fire, but I think it's just this bright red glow, especially under the headlights of Roxanne Bartel when she comes up from behind. Around the outside, Endrin Govender having a little look. There's a wall there. He's going to run out of road. And down the main straight, he's looking pacey again. He's having another little bit of a look. But, no immediate dives into T1 right now. Car number 14. All three of these drivers doing very well right now, just to stick with each other. A quick look at what's happening up the field. Hardest Boyce is maintaining that gap and brought it down slightly, just pretty much 1 second dead to Mark van Rensburg ahead in his Lamborghini. And the battle for the overall lead, Ross Bartel and Mike LaRue right now. Mike has 1.8 seconds to catch up to Ross Bartel, so a little bit of a gap has opened up there. For the time being, we'll head back down to this battle for P6 here, and on board with Endrin Govender, who's had that door shut on him by Martin Groeneveldt into the boot, but alongside now goes Roxanne Bartel, and she will have the inside line into the heel. Is there enough of an overlap for her to make it stick? Endrin is looking racy on the outside and slots back ahead. So that was close, but not close enough for Roxanne Bartel to effect an overpass. Overtake. Let's swing out wide, she does again. And again, just has to, running extremely wide there. Almost needed to back off so as not to gain a lasting advantage, and clatters the wall she does. I fear just having been offline, I think that upset her normal rhythm and line, just caused her to run wide there in her attempts to stay on the back of Endrin Govender, and that's going to hurt a little bit. Probably just cosmetic if she's lucky. If she's unlucky, maybe some minor suspension damage. I don't imagine you can clatter that wall too many times and avoid that internal mechanical impact. And we'll keep an eye on her lap times to see if there's any sort of impact right now. Her best lap is 145.92, her last being 147.9, of course, making that mistake. So now it's still the Martin Groenewold Engine Governor show. Peru's closed up that gap. It was a second when we looked about a lap ago. It's now 0.70, so significant gains made here by Mark Leroux. Apologies, in Ford Mustang versus Ford Mustang to Ross Bartle ahead. Keep an eye on that as we're going side by side again now with this battle, and Engine Governor able to swoop around, and oh, there's some heavy contact. That is deeply unfortunate. Oh, that is so sad to see, and he's going to have a tough time to swing that car around. And does well, actually, considering. Keeps it offline for Stroud to pass safely. Stroud being technically a back marker who's just unlapped himself. That's gutted to see that happen. So that was a strong battle. It looked pretty clean and fair up until this point. And we'll possibly see a steward's inquiry coming out of that one. If the governor feels hard done by, he's going instantly into the pits though, as is Martin Groenewold, possibly to repair some damage rather sooner rather than later, and just take that pit stop now. The both of them. Right, up we go back to battle for the lead now. Ross Bartle on Mike Leroux. The overtake has happened while we were watching the impact between Martin Groenewold and Engine Governor and Roxanne Bartle, who has come off the best of that little scrap. And as a result, we didn't see Mike Leroux getting around Ross Bartle, but it has happened. The switch has been made. And for the time being, even a second gap already opened. So some strong plays here made by Mike Leroux. We're going to hop back down and see where Roxanne Bartle ended up after that scrap. She's being hunted down by Jason Luck in the Porsche. I do like the rear light display of the Porsche. Get a good angle of it coming through as they head into the heel. Sort of light strip that shines across the entire rear width of the Porsche there. Nice, in my opinion. Very distinctive on track. 992-esque theme for a number of their models, Porsche. Anthony Merritt, P5 now, looking quite strong. He's putting in some consistent lap times. His last lap at 146 dead, his best at 145.99, so I mean that's pretty consistent. And keeping his nose clean for now. He has a considerable amount of time to make up to your hardest Boyser. So for now he's sort of running a little bit of a lonely race, heading into the middle third of the race. Hardest Boyser, meanwhile, in his BMW is about 1.8 seconds behind Mark van Rensburg's Lamborghini. And we see Engine Governor and Martin Groenewold clear their pit stops. Engine Governor does look like he has track position ahead of Martin Groenewold, even though he entered the pits after Martin Groenewold. So he's got the better of the pit stop battle there, which is just as well, having come off as what I would consider a victim of that scrap earlier. And it does look like his car's had a nice little bit of a polish on the difficult to say with the rear end, being that black paint job. I'm trying to see if there's any crimples at the back, and I'm sure he would have repaired that damage. However, and the front certainly looking nice and clean. So off he goes, Engine, looking to make some strong plays now, back up towards the top end of the field. He is leading in terms of the drivers who have already performed their pit stops, but there's a significant amount of time chunked ahead. I'm pretty sure that the likes of Mike Leroux and Ross Bartle have a pit stop in the bag compared to Engine Governor right now and down in P10 in terms of time to take. But here we back off with the battle for the lead. Ross Bartle having closed up quite significantly to the back of Michael, 0.674 in it now. You can see that gap as he's squirming around on track, just heading into the boot now. You can already see a lot of discarded marbles on the side of the track as well, just heading down the hill, so to speak, on the previous corner. And if drivers do end up running over those marbles, it severely impacts the grip that they have. It'll feel a little bit more slippery, and it'll stay on those tires for a few corners as well, just until they sort of burn off. Enjoying some onboard pictures there, and flicking over to the basic HUD, we can see the max speed of 270 k's an hour just about. We're reached at the end of that back straight before they head into the inner loop, and this battle P1 continues with a 0.3 second gap. Thanks to Mustang, pretty identical lines being driven by these two drivers, pretty identical lap times being laid down by these two drivers, so they're staying in it to each other in the hunt. Temperature ever so slightly cooling as the night goes on. We've dropped down to 28 degrees Celsius now, and that's only going to drop a couple of degrees as we go continue into the dead of the night. See Hardest Boyson out pedaling his BMW aggressively across those curbs. Nicely though, in control, smooth. He is trying to chase down and close that gap to Martin Rensburg ahead. Currently reported as 2.99. Call it 3 seconds, so we'll make a mental note of that and revisit in a few laps now. For now, Ross Bartle is closed up that gap again to Mike LaRue. It's just hovering around about that half a second mark. My live timing is saying 0.34 right now. Tower is yet to be updated. And, come on, TV camera, there we go. Let's enjoy some onboard action. absolutely flat out here down the back straight, and again reaching 270 km an hour on the dots into the in loop before they're hard on the brakes for a microsecond, lifting, and then into the outer loop, which heads on down to chute T6, which they've just rounded now, and then it's into the toe of the boot. Very distinctive double light cluster of the Mustang in the rear, and down the boot, sort of straight into the heel, which is T8 now. And then it's a simple matter of T9, 10, and final corner T11. Close to the wall there, Ross Bartle. Masterfully avoided. Maximizing every inch of this track and avoiding the wall at the final turn 11, where we've seen a number of drivers tonight, either in quali or in race, clutter that wall. Still, this battle goes on for the overall race. We are a second gap between Ross Bartle and Mike LaRue. We mentioned a while back that Hardest Boyser has 3 seconds to make up to Mark van Rensburg. It's pretty much still hovering around that marker. So, yet to be pushing. The top 8 drivers have yet to pit in this race. We're approaching the halfway mark. We may see a number of drivers decide to jump in around this time frame. Some may look to undercut, some will just hit it straight down the middle. Some others will look to run a bit longer. We'll have to see the various strategies and who bites first. When it comes to the front runners, I see Ross Bartle, as I speak, has been the first to bite and goes into the pit lane, just as predicted. And that has released Mike LaRue, who will now continue to push. And it'll be very interesting now to see what Mike LaRue decides to do, whether he stays out there for a significant amount of laps further or also decides to pull it in. Mark van Rensburg now promoted up into P2 for now in his Lambo, looking very racy. Lovely light strip across the driver's side door there. Very pacey across those curbs, and chased down by Hardest Boyser. That gap 3 seconds before. It's 2.7 according to my timing sheets now. It ebbs and flows and a bit of an accordion effect. And we have another biter into the pits. Jason Luck is rolling up the pull into his pit box. And that is also Roxanne Bartle at exactly the same time, coming up to a stop behind him. Right, Ross Bartle has come out in P5 for the time being. And that is, I think, Anthony Moritz just behind him. The top 4 now. In fact, I In the pits comes Mark van Rensburg in his Lambo, so another one bites, and Hardest Boyser is promoted up into position 2. So it's only a matter of time before he decides to make the same decision for himself. Ross Bartle is clear. It is Roxanne Bartle who has earned herself a stop-go 30-second time penalty, and that can only be for one thing, and I believe that is speeding in the pit lane, either on entry or exit, most likely. Missing the mark there, but no doubt she's going to be kicking herself for that. We'll keep an eye on our back up to Hardest Boyser in P2, 10.6 seconds behind Mike LaRue. But ultimately it's about that pit stop decision, whether it comes sooner or later. More into the pits now. Mark van Rensburg has cleared his pit stop. Anthony Moritz has now come to a stationary stop. A good, nice view of the Oxford Distributors custom livery there. Great job on that skin. Mike LaRue, meanwhile, also still out in front. I'm fairly sure I've seen Mike LaRue run very deep into the race in some previous rounds this season. He might decide, if the car's feeling nice and comfy, to just stay out there for the time being. We'll keep an eye on his lap time and just see if it's maintaining his consistent laps. His last lap is 145.9 dead. Hardest Boyser, meanwhile, has lost with 146.0 dead. So fairly close lap time. And again, he may make the decision to stay out there at the BMW, depending on how hard it's been on its tires. Roxanne Bartle is sailing through the pits lane again, and she'll need to come to a halt in her pit box though for the stop go 30. We can see her leaning off into the side. There we go. Starts the 30-second clock before she's allowed to move again. Renier Hatzing, the only other of the three drivers here yet to pit, sitting in P5. He is in a Mustang. I imagine that he will be looking to pit fairly soon. And here we go, Mike LaRue is deciding to go into the pit. 38 minutes left on the dot. And Hardest Boyser will sail through for another lap. So he's taken now a provisional lead of this race. Won't be for too long, as he has yet to do his own pit stop, but for now he is enjoying leading the race. And putting some of those stats down for a number of laps led, increasing that count across the season. It's into his 21st lap now. We're exactly halfway through the race now. So he's obviously opting for a little bit of an overcut compared to everyone else who's come in slightly early or on the halfway dot, halfway mark on the dots, such as Mike LaRue. Look down at the battle for P8 right now. Engine Govern is 0.1 second behind Timothy Gomez in that Ferrari, and I fear he is about to be overtaken. Just looking at the differential in lap times here, and that Beamer certainly has the edge over Gomez's Ferrari right now. The hot exhaust outlet on that BMW on the right hand side, glowing red hot. Also in this mix is Martin Groenewald behind. cast your eyes to the track map in the top right hand corner of your screen, just coming around the final corner now, that triangle with the number P, well not P8, the car number 8 is Hardest Boyser, and he is in the laps, in the pits. That's what I was thinking he might do if I saw his car slow down dramatically. So he has taken his overcut pit stop, and we'll have to keep an eye on where he comes out in relation to Mark van Rensburg in P4, whom he was racing prior to the pit stop series phase, should we say. And in front of him, Renier Hatting as well did a very quick stop. That's the splash and dash. Away he goes, Renier Hatting. So if he's let's see, how close is he to Anthony Moritz or Jason Luck? The timing leaderboard tower has yet to update, having just come out of the pits. It's often quite late in doing so. We'll try and eyeball it here. Where's Jason Luck? That is it. They're both on the back straight as we speak. Renier Hatting is approaching the inner loop now, and Jason Luck having just exited it. Hardest Boyser is out the pits. So that was actually a very nice quick stop. But here's the gap. Ross Bartle as the overall lead of this race retained. Mike LaRue, so they're coming through the top end of that outer loop now. And, it does look like Ross Bartle has opened up a significant gap following the pit stop phase. 7.5 seconds it is. Mark van Rensburg 6.8 seconds behind them, and the gap was 3 seconds between Hardest Boyser and Mark van Rensburg before the pit stop phase. It is now 1.3 seconds. So Hardest Boyser has done very well for himself to make up some time in the pit stops, just halving that delta. And let's see if he can work on that advantage and push up to Mark van Rensburg to challenge for podium. Casting eyes here over Anthony Moritz, who's back in P5, obviously qualified in P5 if you're viewing from the start. So doing well here to retain points off the start. And it looks like he has maybe a bit of a lonely race now following the pit stop phase. The next car ahead of him is car number 12 is Roxanne Bartle, so that's not even for a position. Looks like the gap to Hardest Boyser ahead of Anthony Moritz is quite significant. It's being reported as a lap, but I think it's because he needs to pass the start-finish line. He's rounding the final corner now versus Hardest Boyser, who is already onto the back straight. Arne Groenewald is in P9. This is challenging Adrian Govender yet again. Oh, Timothy Gomez charging in behind there in his Ferrari looking quite racy. Now we saw earlier in the race these two coming together, Adrian Govender, Martin Groenewald, and Roxanne Bartle was also in that three-way battle. Martin Groenewald and Adrian Govender getting the shorter ends of those sticks though, and being spun around and needing to repair for damage. I think Adrian Govender came off worse. But a good train of cars here, this developing now after the pit stop phase. This is the ultimate battle for P8. So Adrian Govender is leading that for the time being, but in the hunt is Martin Groenewald and Timothy Gomez, and there's a McLaren of James Stroud just behind him. So this train of four cars here, sort of a mid-pack battle, if you will. It's developing quite nicely. Side by side here, actually, that's Bartle. That is Ross Bartle. Just lapping as the race leader, getting past Timothy Gomez here. So I think while that looked like a four-way battle, it was actually just the leader coming up to the back of the pack. And he is making his way through. He's coming up now on teammates. One of the teammates in the Black House Sim Sports massive team this season. And no doubt Martin Quinnewold is going to pull over at some point pretty soon. And it's going to happen right now, as he'll yield the position to Ross Bartle, just allowing him through. A little bit of a micro lift is all that's needed. And so you won't lose too much time there in doing so. He's quite generous there from the teammates, jumping out of the way and doing a lift. If you weren't teammates, I mean, the general rule here for the blue flags is drivers don't need to jump out of the way if you're being lapped. You simply need to not defend the position. You need to make yourself predictable, and the overtaking car has the responsibility. You need to make it clear that you're looking to overtake. You must flash the lights, for example, just to let someone know that you're coming through and you're in a sort of an overtake advantage delta or gap. But you're certainly not allowed to abuse that. As we can see some blue flags being waved again here. Ross Bartle. Easiest place to do it here on the main straight. As you can see, Engine Governor doing a great job there. Just don't defend the corner. Let the guy through. You're not in a fight with him. It doesn't make sense to do anything else. You're both going to lose time otherwise. And off they go, no fuss whatsoever, onto the back straight. So Mike LaRue, who's approaching the back straight now, he's about 6.5 seconds down on Ross Bartle with just under half an hour to go. Going through the inner loop there, you can see the train of cars, the lights. Going on for a little bit of a roller coaster ride. A pretty clean race so far, just barring that one incident we saw early in the race between Quinnewold Governor and Roxanne Bartle. Otherwise, I haven't seen any other incidents, any collisions. A couple of people hitting that wall there, as we just see that particular one, final corner. But other than that, pretty clean racing so far. Artist boys are not able to capitalize on the advantages made during the pit stop phase, where that gap came down from 3 seconds to 1.3. It's now elongated back again to 2.67 to Mark van Rensburg Lamborghini ahead. So between the two of them, Mark van Rensburg doing really well to keep on pace here. His best lap is a 1:44.60. His last was a 1:45.6 compared to Hardest's last lap was a 1:44.7, so still a little bit faster, but ebbing and flowing here towards the favour of Mark van Rensburg. And still got a lot of work to do between these two. And Mark van Rensburg, if he wants to hold on to the final podium slot here, and Hardest Boyce if he wants to steal it away from him. We will see towards the latter stages of this race as time goes by. The fuel burns off, but the tire degradation is also a thing, and we might see some cars sliding around a little bit more. Lap times may slow down, drivers may make some mistakes. So it is anyone's race right now, as Mark van Rensburg is just coming up behind Timothy Gomez. The blue flags will be shown and waved on track very shortly, I'm sure, there as we say it. Timothy Gomez gets through as the blue flags are waved, and he'll slot back in. Just coming through the straight of the boot. Meanwhile, Ross Bartle has got around the final corner and around the back marker of Renier Hassing as he does so. And followed by a couple of cars in a train, including Mike LaRue himself, and Adrian Governor and Mark Groenewald, which is currently the closest battle on track right now, or battle for P8. So we see some comments in chat. Nico mentioning that accelerator pedal bullying you, Hardest. Keep it up, but consistency is key. It is indeed. And we'll keep an eye on the deltas in the top left of your screen. 2.4 the last reported between Hardest Boyce and Mark van Rensburg, that final podium position fight. Meanwhile, here on screen, Adrian Govender fending off Martin Groenewald behind. Close battle, 0.18 seconds between the two of them. It's a fast section of track they've just come through. They'll concertina a little bit now into the boot. You notice the driving strategy for the BMW Adrian Govender is employing is sort of shifting quite early through those turns of the boot. He's using the raw grunt of the BMW to drive himself out of the corner. Doesn't want to over rev the engine or bounce off the limiter. Just trust the pull. The powerful engine there in the BMW. Does seem to be pedaling it around in a masterful fashion. Adrian Governor's best lap in this BMW is a 1:46.68. If we compare that though to Hardest Boyce up ahead in the other BMW, his best being a 1:44.727, that is a significant difference and better. And further up the field as a result, Hardest Boyce is in P4. Hovering around that 3-ish second marker though to Mark van Rensburg, who's doing a great job in keeping his Lambo poised. And it looks like he is heading up to some back marker traffic that is not for racing for position ahead of him. I'll try and see who it is that we're looking at on the rear wing there. Might even be the Groenewald Govender battle itself. It is indeed, yep. So Mark van Rensburg coming up to lap these drivers essentially, which may make things interesting as the leaders come through. When you're trying to battle yourself for a position, it's always a nervous time. You don't want to lose too much time, you know, when you yield to the leaders. Don't also cause any accidents. This could be an interesting time. I'll keep the cameras on it. As we see Mark van Rensburg now approaching blue flag distance. Definitely being waved now. And if anyone is going to make a first move here, Mark Groenewold's going to need to yield unless some sort of double overtake happens from Mark van Rensburg. Which is going to be really tricky to time, although they are heading now onto the back straight, the three of these guys. And let's see if I can get a better camera angle. There we go. Mark van Rensburg sails past the first one. And that looked like a very generous gap actually provided. And there's Engine Governor getting out of the way now as well. And Mark Groenewold will try and press back up as quickly as he can to not let Engine Governor run away with it. But for the time being, that has been safely navigated. The blue flag situation. That gap now residing at about a half a second. Martin Groenewold, the rear wing of Engine Governor, which we now look over. It is Hardest Boyser now in P4 coming up to lap this pair. So the same situation again that we've just seen with Mark van Rensburg. Hopefully Hardest doesn't get held up too much as well as he tries to hunt down Mark van Rensburg. Let's go on board. Cockpit view, Hardest Boyser onto the back of this pair. And they've just come out of the main back straight now. Through the outer loop they go. Let's see what the thoughts going through Hardest's head right now, the decision-making process. Where he decides he's going to make his presence known and expect an overtake here. And there it looks like somewhat out of the way Mark Groenewold is getting, but not really a lift. Maybe he was just trying to unsight Engine Governor ahead of him. Perhaps it will happen on the main straight. They're getting awfully close now through T10. Coming T11. Into the final corner. So it's got to happen now, surely, on the main straights. And pulled along. There's still no overtake, and ahead of this pair, just ahead of Governor, that is, there's the overtake happening now. Hardest Boyser gets round number one. To the back straight here, where he will be trying to close up. It is P6 who is in front of Governor is what I'm trying to work out. It's Rainier Hatting. So having got past both now, that is the next marker. And meanwhile, the battle between Engine Governor and Groenewold is sitting at about 1.2 seconds. So Martin Crinnable doing really well here to not allow Adrian Government to get away during that blue flag phase. Sticking with him. Spoiler now getting past the blue flags for Renier Hatting as he gets well out of the way, which may need to be, or may not need to be, sorry, apologies, a repeat affair for Engine Governor below, because this is racing now for position for P7. So the pair of Monochronal and Engine Governor pushing each other along have actually managed to catch up to Renier Hatting for P7. And this is all now battling for position onto the back straights. Mark van Rensburg now back up to the P3 fight. Just having left the outer loop is about 4 seconds ahead of Hardest Boyser. They're still quite close. And overall lead of this race, Ross Bartle still in a commanding position. There's 14 minutes left to go and a healthy 13-second lead ahead of Mike LaRue. Looks like that was running very wide, the engine governor. It must have been a mistake, and that's allowed Martin Crinnable to simply sail. Oh, I was going to say simply sail by. Oh no, unfortunate. Some contact was made yet again. And I'm sure engine governor is going to be feeling really hard done by tonight. So that battle has essentially been. Oh, and he's definitely unsettled here on the car. Running quite wide leading up to the final corner. I wonder if there's even damage here. He's rolling into the pit. Is he? He's hugging that pit lane entry. If there's some damage yet again. That or hopefully not throwing in the towel, but I wouldn't altogether blame him just if that did happen, because that gutted to happen twice in one race. Let's see what he opts to do. Perhaps just a pit stop for the damage. Throw in some fresh boots and hopefully get back out there and try and fight for some points. We'll keep an eye. Oh, engine has gone off. Keep an eye on that. Martin Crinnable meanwhile sails ahead, P8. And he is battling that team member now, P7 Renier Hatting, about a 2-second gap behind. If we had points for fastest lap, Mike LaRue would be taking that right now. 1:44. Oh, I say that. Sorry, Ross Bartle has it by a split second. 0.342 versus 0.367. Mike LaRue and Ross Bartle, I swear they've been swapping it throughout the course of this evening. But we don't have points for the fastest lap. It is just for bragging rights. And Governor is rolling. Really good to see. Fantastic stuff. So just opting to repair that damage, I'm sure. That's suspension damage probably on that previous incident. We have also seen Dennis Gillett retire from this race. Entirely sure what happened to Dennis. We may hear on the chat offline afterwards. Oh, there's a massive spin there by Mark van Rensburg. That's an unfortunate mistake, and he's gone sliding off at the exit of the inner loop there on the back straight. And that is allowed Hardest Boyser to sail on by. And I wonder how much damage Watkins Rensburg might be nursing now in this car. A little squiggly there on the exit. An unfortunate mistake late into this race, Watkins Rensburg, to throw away the final podium position. With just 10 and a bit minutes left now, that gap is quite significant to Hardest Boyser. It'll be quite interesting to see if he opts to stay out there for the damage or take it in for some repairs. It might be interesting to see if I can figure out if he's any sort of impact on the wheel here. We'll have a look. He's obviously staying out. Wheel is looking fairly straight, so perhaps he got off lucky on the suspension damage, and it was just a bit of a side swipe or scrape and an ultimate spin, and kept it out of the real damage. So opting to stay out, Watkins Rensburg, with about 15 seconds to make up to Hardest Boyser. I think that's the tall order, unless Hardest Boyser also has a mistake. But that is unlikely, just given how consistent we've seen Hardest be tonight. Up into the podium slot, third, Hardest Boyser. And still a significant margin. It's about 7 seconds to Makaru up ahead. 6 or 7, fluctuating. Quick look again down. Jason Luck in firmly mid-pack here. P6 all on his own. He has the race leader Ross Bartle coming up behind him. So one man's pain is another man's victory. Hardest Boyser must be smiling in the cockpit right now, having been gifted that third position. And Rensburg, conversely, must be kicking himself for that little mistake. So costly. Fortunately, only losing out on one position here, but it does lose out on the coveted podium position. Fortunately, it looks like his Lambo hasn't suffered too much mechanical damage and is able to keep going. Anthony Moritz started P5, still on P5. Solid run from him so far tonight. It's fairly consistent lap on lap. James Stroud, who came in for that very early pit stop, first of the pit stops earlier this race. So far pelling at home in a respectable P11, just given that we had a number of additional starters tonight. They're still out there, almost at the top 10. Still valuable points out here to gain in Division 1. Look at the gap that's closed up here between Hardest Boyster and Mike LaRue. Hardest has really turned on the taps now. And just looking at the comparative lap times, if it's either Mike LaRue that's slowed down a little bit or Hardest Boyster who's accelerated, it does look like it might be a mixture of both looking at their last lap times, but there was a definite mistake that was made by Mike LaRue at some point. A lap or two ago he had a 1:48.1, which is a very slow lap time. I don't think he was around any sort of backmarker traffic, so probably just a minor mistake that crept in. And with the Hardest Boyster, he's actually now side by side. This might even be an overtake here for P2. He's going to have to do hard work to go around the outside and retain that inside line around final corner here. Mike LaRue does so. But this has suddenly turned into a battle. And Hardest Boyster at one point was P4 just a few laps ago, is suddenly now challenging for P2. Is he going to have a look at a dive into T1? I think he's playing it nice and safe for now on a responsible sparks fly as he clips the curb, clattering it through T1. But suddenly now, with just under 5 minutes to go, a battle for P2 on its hands. Having a quick look at where Ross Bartle, our race leader, is on track as well. I think he is about to enter the boot as we see Hardest Boyster pulled out. And that's an easy pass done. Well, made it look so easy. Fantastic. Fantastic drive. And, kudos to Mike LaRue keeping it nice and clean as well. Some good respect shown with the car width. But Hardest Boyster capitalizing on Mike LaRue's early mistake, closed up nicely and into passing distance, and it's made that pass stick. Rounding the boots now, heading into the heel. Timing board updates. Yeah, half a second behind now. Mike LaRue is going to have to fight back if he wants to take back P2. Little wiggle on exit there, Hardest Boyster. Hopefully he's not struggling too much with the tyres. Looking pretty rock solid though. What I am going to do is have a look at the dashboard. At the dashboard. Cockpit view, and just see if he's needing to do any major corrections at the wheel, or if it's looking pretty smooth. The telltale sign will be at the end of the back straight that we're approaching now as they go through the inner loop. So let's have a look and see how much he needs to correct on exit heading into the outer loop. That might be a good indication of just how much grip he has left in these tyres. Let's see, nice and smooth left, nothing smooth right. How's the overcorrection? It's pretty rock solid to me. Seems to have a good amount of grip. No understeer coming through that corner as well. So I think by all means, from our observations, Hardest Boyster looks to have a solid beamer. He's managed his tyres well. That car is looking nice and planted. Mike LaRue, 2-second gap. Certainly has some work to do if he's going to catch Hardest Boyster in the dying 2 minutes left of this race. Renswick has caught up significantly. That gap was 15 seconds following his spin. It's now down to 10. So he is a man on a mission here with the must be cosmetic damaged car, Lambo. It's done phenomenally well to bring that back up and close, find 5 seconds somewhere. It's phenomenal. But it may be a little bit too little too late as well. With just 1:20 left to go. Anthony Moritz P5, Jason like P6 so far. This is another close-ish battle here, closing up in the dying stages of this race. We'll keep an eye on it. Ross Bartle is coming up behind them, however, so they may need to yield for some blue flags, possibly, when you're at the dying stages. We'll see how things go. Another battle on track here as well. The Death Roxanne Bartle in P10 looking to take P9 away from the Ferrari of Timothy Gomez, who's running nice and defensive here through the inner loop. That was a good line. Doesn't know what he's doing, Timothy. Fiddling the lone Ferrari around this track here, somewhat being mobbed by a bunch of Mustangs. So we can see and hear the crew engineer of Ross Bartle starting the final lap. Again, Roxanne Bartle going on the attack, trying to take it around the outside of Timothy Gomez. Does look like she's got quite a bit of an overlap now, heading into the straight of the boot. And that position is reflecting as overtaken. We'll have the inside line. Nope, she manages to shut that door ahead of Timothy Gomez and take position 9 away from him. Have a quick look here. Jason Luck at the death here, battling with Anthony Moritz. And this is for position 5 of the overall race. But for a long time, Anthony Moritz was kind of by himself here, but all of a sudden, we're having a massive battle here. Jason Luck in his Porsche is all over Anthony Moritz, and he's going to sail around the outside of the boot. I don't think he has enough grunt. He's got the grip, surely, in the Porsche. And I see someone sitting in the pits. I think it is James Stroud. Yep, James Stroud for some reason sitting in the pits. And given the clock, that might be his race done. Ross Bartle, meanwhile, is approaching, or just exited the boot, approaching the end of the race. There's a lot to keep an eye on here for position switches at the death. Jason Luck on the back of Anthony Moritz. Ross Bartle is behind them, so they're going to be forced to do another lap just in front of them, as you can see there through the window. And meanwhile, Bartle finishes the race in P1. He is drifting his Stang just out of the wall, hopping across the grass and avoiding any sort of contact. Hardest voices rounding the final corner now, and he will take home a massively deserved P2, flashing the lights and zigzagging across the track. He is absolutely elated with that fantastic drive. Mike LaRue take nothing away. That is a well-deserved podium, no doubt at all. Rounding out the top 3. Mark van Rensburg, a little bit unlucky with that mistake, but a solid P4 in the Lambo. Another flick of the lights as well in recognition of that. Jason Luck is the next one further down, and I'm looking for where Anthony Moritz is. There's this battle was happening, and they seem to have dropped quite a bit down. Roxanne Bartle and Martin Crivelts. Timothy Gomez, so Roxanne Bartle did manage to get around that Ferrari. Timothy Gomez also flicking the lights as he heads over the line. And bring up the timetable here for the final positions. Jason Luck is going to be sending it home in P5 ahead of Anthony Moritz. Renier Hatting finishing P7 as well. Andrew Govender, a somewhat unlucky race tonight, with involved in a couple of incidents with some drivers. P11, but that's essentially it, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in tonight to this race finale. Looking very much forward to the next season. It does look like we're going to be racing the Volvos, the S40 BTCC single make championship. We've run the BTCC before when we had a variety of cars, Volvo definitely being the most popular car out of those, so looking forward to commentating on that. as well as commentating on the next season of GT3 as well. But for now, that's me, Ryan Hill, signing off. Thanks very much to everyone for tuning in, keeping me company, and I will catch you very soon. Ciao for now.